What's good, people? This pod is recorded on September 27, Friday, and we have Mito Fabie, aka Curtismith, on the pod. He talks about his steady rise in music, dealing with fake friends, a strange Esquire feature on him, and his latest project, Dining Table. It's a really interesting one, so get ready for a real banger. Before that, I wanted to give a word to our sponsors. First, Plants by Amanda. They make living room ready plants, and it's all grown in fertile vermicompost. They sent us a yucca and elephant ears, and you can actually find it on the pod if you watch on YouTube. So check them out. They sell really great plants, and you can find them on Instagram at Plants by Amanda. Second, we have Sabong, the baddest beach in La Union. They have great chicken. My personal favorite is the chicken Morty, but all of their chicken is good, and I've heard really different variations of what people like. You can find them specifically in San Juan, so if you're in the La Union area, you should really go eat there. It's really good food. And lastly, we have Good House, grab and go fitness food. I tried their Miss Saigon, which is like a wrap, and I'm really happy with it. If you're into healthy food and you're into working out, then this is something that you must check out. They're available in Focus Athletics Pro in Makati, and you can buy their products there. Thanks. Now to the podcast. So that we can sync the video and the audio. It's for editing purposes. Okay. All right. Stop. Okay. Now you just fucked it up. There are too many. Now clap one time now. Okay. All right. Just want to say thank you to Lexi for doing the first episode. It's very lit. You know, a long time coming. I was so excited to do it. Thank you to everyone who supported the pod. For the first episode, we got like 400 views, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we got that in the first day, and it was pretty hype.
Nice.
Shout out to Jaimie Duncan, Modern God, for helping me set this podcast up. He's our audio editor. Shout out to PJ, helping us with the video tonight. You know, he's got everything going on.
All right.
And shout out to East India Network. You know, we have more content coming, not just this podcast. We got music, we got videos. So stay tuned on this YouTube channel, and you'll see more of what we're about to do. And now I want to welcome our second guest ever on our second episode of the Being Frank podcast.
Okay.
We're here with the boy,
What's up?
Mito Fabie.
Hello.
Most people know him by Curtismith.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You know, over millions of streams on Spotify. 60,000 people stream your music weekly or monthly. Like,
Yes.
You've really arrived. It seems.
It seems.
Right?
It seems.
So let's start from the beginning, right?
Our days.
Everything starts somewhere. So
Our days.
what got you to start rapping?
I think it was a Jaimie.
It was Jaimie?
I think so.
I mean,
I started rapping with both of you.
But were you listening to rap? Like, what were you listening to? What made you think, okay, I want to
Kid Cudi made me start rapping.
Kid Cudi?
Yeah.
What album?
I remember the first rap I ever made was over You Can Look All Over.
Yeah.
No.
I remember that one.
Is it that new?
Yeah.
Yeah. That one. That was my first ever.
What?
written
You
rap.
just said you wanted to rap. Okay, I'm gonna write a rap. Were you freestyling? Were you?
Well, as you may know, I'm an only child, and if I wasn't with you guys, I was home alone. My mom was, doing her thing.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have any siblings or anything. I used the rap as my form of, I was going through stuff also, so it was my form of therapy. It was my source of companionship when I had no one there with me.
And what year are we talking about?
I don't even know, like third, fourth year high school.
Third, fourth year high school.
Yeah, so I
And
was
you're
probably
listening
like
to rap mainly.
15, 16.
You're
Yeah.
I mean, I
Straight
remember
up.
you
I
were always
mean,
the type of guy to listen to everything.
yeah,
Right,
but that
like
was
most
also the
genres.
time like during like Bag Raiders and Mike Snow and stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
That was the hipster shit then.
Yeah, but the Drake stuff was always there, and you know, the rap kind of took over when Kid Cudi was like starting to pop
So
off
that was
day and
really
night
like the
type of
jump.
thing.
That was when you made the jump when Kid Cudi like inspired you besides these other rappers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I really associate that time with Cudi for some
So
reason.
like your main influences when you were starting to rap were like who?
Fuck. Cudi, friggin' B.O.B.
Yeah,
even.
yeah.
I can't even remember. All these like there were some white guys
Mm-hmm.
there.
I mean, it was a lot, especially.
What's his name? Dun, dun, they tell me I'm the best. Follow me like I'm the best route.
I don't know.
What's that?
Anyway,
Anyway,
don't worry
yeah.
about that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you also about like during that time. I know we kind of started rapping together. People may not know this, but when
We
we
did
started,
start rapping
we
together. We
started.
didn't
It was
kind
you,
of.
me, Jaimie. That was it. People
Yeah.
always were like, "Wow, you guys can freestyle and stuff," but we really wanted to rap.
Yeah,
And it was during a time when, like, especially in the Philippines, rap wasn't.
EDM. It was just EDM.
Yeah, it was a lot of EDM.
Yeah.
And local artists weren't rapping. They were doing either acoustic covers or battle rapping.
Well, the ones that we knew, obviously, like being in the game and meeting the older generation, they
Well-
were doing shit. But for us,
But no current type of rap, like current for the time. It was always old school. It was always
it
inspired
was always
by
boom
Pac.
bap. Yeah. Mad
you know,
lib
I mean,
types,
no, I have no
straight
problem
Dilla
with it,
types.
but
Yeah.
you
I
know,
feel you.
it was sort of like unheard of to do something like that, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
From our paradigm for sure.
Yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to talk to you about because right now you're big. Whenever you release music, you can release it on Spotify.
Yes.
You push that through your social media, through Instagram, right? Through your collective and all these different avenues. But at the time, the roadmap was different. It was
Yeah.
hot new hip hop. It was 5-star hip hop. It was all these different blogs.
Yeah.
And the way people released their mixtapes was they made a mixtape. People would download it from a website, listen to it through their iTunes,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
what do you think is the advantage of like then versus now, and the disadvantages?
I think the advantages now, excuse me, is that everything is all in one platform, really, or like an oligopoly of platforms.
Okay.
You know, it's Spotify, it's Apple Music, and it's Tidal, and whatever, YouTube maybe, right? Whereas before you had these blogs, you had to get downloaded, which means you had to have enough storage space and all of these things to be able to get the music, and even just the inclination to go on these blogs.
But do you think there
know
was
what I
any
mean?
advantage back then?
Yeah, especially for the Philippines, it was harder to enter music.
Right.
You know, now everyone's making music
So
and
because
releasing
it was
on
harder to
Spotify.
enter, you making your own music makes you way more unique than so many other people, is what you're saying.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. So during that time, you released Ideal, right? Which, in my view, is a collective of different songs you made over like X amount of time, all with different vibes, and you put it all together saying, this is me as an artist, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have a rapper name at the time?
Yeah, Curtismith. For sure.
When you released Ideal?
Yeah, it was Curtismith.
Okay, so as early as then, you were already Curtismith.
Yeah.
And how many tracks? That was your longest project ever.
I think it
right?
was 11 to 14.
Yeah.
I think.
And
Yeah,
you've never
maybe
released
14.
one that big
No.
since.
No.
What's your general feel of Ideal? What if you had to summarize it in your own view and emotion towards it?
That was. You remember that time? It was me, broke as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
In
So you're
school,
still going to school, yeah.
In school, but I hated school.
Yeah.
What else? Trying to do all of these different, like find all these different ways to make money. having all of these ideals,
Right.
fucking basically living in your house, watching all these TED Talks,
Right.
like, and trying to be that person, striving to be the ideal version of myself when I didn't have anyone to look up to.
So that's the concept.
So that's the concept, and it's me striving to be the person I wanted to be.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, or during that actually, that's when you became a part of Logic Club, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people who listen to you and follow you now might not even know about Logic Club,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But
What is Logic Club?
Logic Club is a collective of artists that enabled me to learn about what it was like to be in a studio.
Uh-huh.
It was my first time to experience a setting with a bunch of different artists.
Yeah.
And learning about mixing and mastering and
Yeah.
just even what this material does in a studio or
Okay.
takes and all of
Right.
these things, working with a producer even.
Yeah. Someone who basically people who are dedicated to the music the way you were. Because
Not,
you'd
I
never-
wasn't even then, I
At the
was
time.
at the time I was just like, yo, I love music, like I never thought that I could make anything out of it.
Right.
We never thought we could make anything
I mean,
out of it.
you must have had some idea though, because you joined
No.
it and you went for it.
No, I really
So
honestly.
why did you join Logic
genuinely
Club?
did. The way I was invited was it was my first ever gig, second ever gig. It was in Cubao Expo, and I was the only non-Logic Club member who was in the roster of performers.
Okay.
And by the end of the night, they asked me to join, and it was so funny because my friend was telling me, like, Moya, he's part of Dante and Amigo.
Okay.
Si Dante. He reminded me a couple of weeks ago that like he was there, my first gig, and I was playing music from my iPad and just be like, I wouldn't even let the song finish. I'd be like, okay, I'm done. Next song. Yeah, it was
Damn,
good
bro.
times, man. Yeah.
So then people don't know, but you and Crown developed a relationship through there,
Sexually.
right? And you made a lot of music together.
Yeah, not a lot. We made good songs together, man.
You definitely did.
The first track I ever made over his was going in for life. I didn't even know him back then. So he just came out. He came out with the instrumental. At the time, I was super into the Charlie Chaplin speech.
Yeah.
So I put that sample. I laced that sample on the beginning, on the intro, and then I just rapped my heart out. And I never thought that it would resonate with more than friggin' 10 people.
Yeah. But I mean, besides him and like
Did.
Jess Conley and stuff, that's a duo that, well, people who were listening at the time kind of remember, because you guys
for
also
sure.
LDR is his as well, right?
Yep. He produced
So
that.
like,
Yeah.
you guys had some sort of chemistry there.
Dude, I mean, that guy is super cool. He is
For people who don't know him, Crown he's a producer and he's also the drummer, right?
She's only 16.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So great musician.
Great musician, great person all around.
Yeah.
Very, very humble guy. And is not in it for anything but for the love of his music.
That's great.
Yeah.
So like you would say that's the best relationship you made with a person in Logic Club?
No, all of the relationships I made in Logic Club were all unique and genuine in their own way.
That's great.
It's just
I
that.
remember going to the studio there one time as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
We tried to record
that was
one song
early on, like before everything.
Yeah.
Right, like everything blew up.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, I mean, the management of Logic Club at the time, there was a lot of bullshit going on, and I'm very transparent about it. Until now,
like what? Like, if you don't mind me asking.
like until now, I have not gotten any royalties from the streams of LDR or For the Love.
Okay.
Yeah, and to think 1,000,000 streams, you make like 100,000 pesos or something like that.
Do the math, people.
Yeah. So
Pay Curtismith.
So yeah.
I mean, it was at a time when music wasn't as professional or technical as it is nowadays.
And because it's still the Wild Wild West, but it was more the Wild Wild West back then.
Right. It was
I
more
didn't,
chaotic.
I didn't even think that I could make money off streams
Right.
back then. You know what I mean?
You're just trying to get known so that you could do shows.
Yeah, and I didn't even know how to upload it back then.
Right.
So
Without them, it might have never been out there. probably wouldn't.
Not at the time.
Yeah.
Not at the time, for
Right.
sure.
Okay. That's cool. So part of that is like talking about Logic Club. I wanted to talk to you about like the music scene, indie music scene, OPM indie music scene then during the Logic Club era and now. Like what do you think has changed? How much has it developed?
Phenomenally. I think now the lines of indie and OPM and everything has just been thrown all into one pot, and there's a newer generation that's making a killing. There are younger artists like Yisanigo and Siddhartha
Mm-hmm.
who have progressed and who have grown so much faster than we could have. I think you know
see.
what I mean.
So from when you started, from day one to where you are now, they were fast tracked when they burst onto the scene.
Well, they were younger when they were exposed to that.
So they were starting earlier.
Yeah,
What we were doing
way
when
earlier.
we were their age was different than what they're doing.
Yes.
They already see a roadmap. They know how to get to where you are, sort of.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing, bro. So do
Um,
you feel like you're part of like you're one of the pioneers for this side of music?
No, I wouldn't call myself a pioneer of anything.
Why not?
That's not for me to say.
Okay.
That's not
Fair
for
enough.
me to claim.
Fair enough. But I mean, in my opinion, like, obviously I'm your friend. But other than that, I really see the way it changed from releasing your music on SoundCloud and like, just promoting your YouTube videos and stuff to like streaming on Spotify. And these people have seen it. And I know for a fact because recently I was on No One's Homie's podcast.
Yeah.
And they're two rappers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I like them. Claudio, I know Claudio.
Yeah, exactly. And they were talking to me about it, and they're like, yeah, like listening to you and Mito on SoundCloud, it made us realize, wow, we can just rap. Like,
Dope.
you could just do it if
Dope.
you wanted to, right?
Awesome, awesome, yeah.
So, like, I would definitely say you're a pioneer.
Thank
in
you.
this.
That's it's really nice to hear, especially like people slightly younger than us or younger than us tell us these things
Yeah.
because
Especially in terms of rap specifically. For
yeah.
me.
Oh,
Because, like, especially, like, when you talk to, like, titos or titas, stuff like that, rap is not really music to them.
no, my lolo even says
Right?
like, what are you saying?
Like, you play the guitar or you sing really well, they're like, oh my God, they can be a really good artist. That's always, like, the stigma, right? But rap is like, wow, you're just saying a bunch of bad words and talking about drugs and doing all this. But, they don't see the intricacies and artistry of what rap really is.
Yeah, for sure.
And only people who really listen to rap understand that.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why it's so much easier for people to start rapping now compared to then is how mainstream rap has become.
For
if
sure.
you look at our life, right, as kids up until this point, it went from like My Chemical Romance to Akon to Drake,
Yeah.
and now Travis Scott has a Netflix
Yeah,
documentary. Like, I remember I had lunch with my tita the other day, and she's telling me, "Oh, I just watched a Travis Scott documentary." And I'm like, "Wow, look at how far hip hop has come."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely to a point where because it's pop, it's more accepted. People are more exposed to it. People are more inclined to move towards it, and it's not as
As niche. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, it's come to a point, I think, globally as a mainstream genre
Mm-hmm.
to have such a small amount left to climb,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. Everything is a trend.
And it also shows how far it's come. Like,
Oh, for sure,
sometimes
for sure.
there's just the peak. There's a ceiling. And
Yeah.
It's very close to that ceiling.
And for the longest time also, diba, when that happens, when it becomes like super mainstream, people talk about, oh, it's become watered down, it's become this and that. And then there was an interview of Joe Rogan that I was watching where they were talking about comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about the difference. There's two types of comedy. There's the slapstick comedy, and then
Yes.
there's the cerebral kind of comedy.
Right.
And that's what's happened in rap. You have the
Yeah, you have the
mumble.
ratchet, like whatever, Bobby Shmurda
And then
type.
you have the elevated J. Cole type,
Yeah.
woke shit.
I mean, it's sort of like Janae Aiko, Doja Cat,
Exactly.
right? Like something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel that definitely, and I appreciate all sides of it.
Same,
Honestly, I
same,
love trash
same.
rap. Just for the
Oh,
record.
you especially.
Right. So I want to talk about a certain time in your career, somewhere in between Failing Forward and Solely Yours.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You're
Let's
getting
go.
bigger,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's actually to a point where you're starting to get hate.
Yeah.
Right? I remember
Yeah.
specifically a meme of you, and it's like this. You remember this meme? This is not you.
Yeah.
And it's like
yeah,
dissing
yeah.
you as an OPM artist.
Yeah.
And then there's always the talk about you being privileged.
Yeah.
And because you do, like
I do come from
maybe-
privilege.
Maybe you're not as privileged as other people we know, but you do come from a very privileged background.
Which I didn't see before.
yeah.
Which I didn't see
Yeah,
before. Because
agreed.
I wasn't exposed to everyone else before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just saw what I saw. And I hung out with the people we hung out with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, I'm not privileged compared to these guys.
Right.
But then you
In the big picture.
in the big picture, you're like, oh shit, I am
Yeah.
so privileged.
But they hate you for that fact. They never really had a specific reason to hate. I mean, some people called you like a Marcos apologist because they saw you hanging out with Sandra Marcos
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with that? How did you deal with that at the time?
It's fucked, man. It was fucked. I got I got depressed from all of it.
Actually,
Yeah, literally. I mean, that's why I made Dining Table. I was depressed for a while.
up
Stopped making
until
music.
that point.
Yeah, that's why I made Dining Table. To close the book. You know what I mean? I was just up until Dining Table, I was just making music and I was so fixated on just like, yo, I can make this work.
Yeah.
Like this music thing is at the tip of my fingers. Let me fucking work on it until I see it through. And then I got these endorsements and stuff, and it happened in the span of like when I started getting paid to the endorsements, right? I was doing free gigs for a year, and then after I started getting paid, and then I got these endorsements, all in the span of like 2 years.
Wow.
That trajectory, right? And so that obsession with just making music was there, and making it a career was there until I burnt myself out, I guess. And when I burnt myself out,
Burnt yourself out in what way? Making constantly
music.
making music.
Being in the public eye,
Okay.
and then once I was burnt out, having all of these people telling me all this shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So
And
like these are all people you don't know.
a lot of them I don't know. A lot of them were people I knew too.
Really?
Yeah, man. Remember one of our teachers from TOS, the one school? Shout out to one school.
And they're talking shit about you what?
Making a diss track about me and all that shit.
Oh.
Like I was like, holy shit, what am I doing wrong? I'm just trying to fucking make this work.
Right. But that's also a sign that you've made it, right? To a certain extent.
I didn't see it like that before.
At the time.
At the
definitely
time.
not.
And I still don't look at it like, oh yeah, I made it. I still don't.
So you don't feel like you've made it yet?
No, fuck that. No way. But when that happened, and I started reading all these negative comments and all of these things, I was like, maybe there is something wrong with me. And
So you were second guessing yourself because of all of the hate.
yeah. And it did make me depressed, but it did teach me some things too.
Do you think there was any it was warranted to a certain extent, the hate towards you? Do you think they had reason to hate you?
Yeah.
Why?
For musicians to hate me, it's because, a lot of them were in the game way longer before me.
That doesn't matter in my opinion.
I know, but
Obviously they're bitter.
regardless of that, putting myself in their position, you know what I mean? They see this kid trying to make it, who they met.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Who's the
You're a
fresh
nobody.
fucking
Yeah.
face. All of a sudden getting the endorsements that you've been working so hard to get.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is that kid, right? And I just so happen to be that kid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not what really fucked me up, although that kind of messed me up. What really got me was, like, for example, there was this one person on Twitter, I remember, who said I had a messianic complex, and I never knew what the fuck that was. I never heard of
No
that.
idea what that means.
It's like someone just trying to be the sole person to save the world. You know what I mean?
Okay. You were too preachy, basically.
Basically, just the combination. Yeah, that like trying to be the hero.
Okay.
And
I mean, I can see that in your music, to be fair.
for sure, me too. And I was like, yo, like that really hit home for me.
Okay.
And I was like, why am I trying to be a good person? Is it because I want people to say, yeah, that guy's a good guy?
Right.
And you know what? Growing up, I really wanted to just be called a good person.
I get that.
For
As-
like for validation.
Yeah.
And then when all that shit happened, I was like, I still had genuine intentions, but people were calling me things that I wasn't. So I was like, I went on a downward spiral. And at the end of the day, I was like, do I really want to be a good person? Yes. Do I have to prove it to everybody? No.
Right.
So if you don't fucking think I'm a good person, then I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I feel you. I mean, there are certain people in the game right now who have that problem. If you look at someone like 21 Savage, he's one of the people who like is most active in terms of charities, donating to charities, making events to make, to give better lives to like the less fortunate people. But all you ever hear about in the news is how he is arrested in the UK, caught with guns. He's just a general like hoodlum type guy.
Yeah.
But he is a good person.
Yeah.
And he's not trying to prove it to anyone.
Exactly. And I needed to learn that. They say it's one thing to know with your head and one thing to know with your heart.
Right.
And so I knew that logically, but it still affected me emotionally.
Right.
And so I had to experience it to really understand what it meant not to give a fuck about what people,
Right.
the random people thought.
I get that.
Yeah.
So early on, you have a lot of friends who supported you, who were there with you, who watched your shows, who listened to your music when you were freestyling, whether it was freestyling or releasing new tracks, up until like Curtismith became a character in itself, right?
Yeah.
Did your friends change
Yeah.
in any way?
Yeah. Yeah, you know that.
Really?
You know that.
Don't talk to me like that. Tell me what happened.
It became from support, it became, oh, you're too good for us. Oh, you don't have time for us.
That's like the general.
Yeah. And that was a lot of our friends. Until now, I don't see them as often because they think that I'm something that I'm not. Even when I was going through that depressive phase, like the depressed phase, I had no one to talk to because everyone was just like, oh, Curtismith.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean?
So like every time you were with people, that was always like the caveat, like, oh, Curtismith's here, don't you know.
Or it was always about the career. It was never like, how are you? You know what I mean?
Right.
It was always, oh, yeah. So that felt, but I had you guys. I had like the main homies and shit.
Yeah.
But the amount of people I thought were like really there for me,
Mm-hmm.
and the reality of how many people were actually there for me was very. It taught me a lot. Yeah.
So what are you saying? Like, if you needed them, if you wanted to just spend time together, they wouldn't be willing? What do you mean by that?
I don't know if also it's my fault for not reaching out, but when you're depressed, you don't want to fucking really reach out, right? You're just in your head.
You were really.
I was just down and out. And when I wanted, I was never invited to stuff, and I would see it on social media that people, like the homies were out.
Right.
So I was like, I guess I'm not invited again. You know what I mean? And obviously for them, it's probably like, oh, he didn't go to the last one, so. But also as an artist, right? If I had a gig that day, I can't say no because I'm not getting paid on the reg.
Yeah.
Like I have to
You're
say
not
yes
getting
to
a
every
salary,
single
yeah.
gig because I don't know when my next paycheck
And the
is
difference
coming
of that is you're usually working on the weekends.
Yeah.
People who are working are free on the weekends, so there's a clash there, right?
Yeah, so it's not their fault, but at the same time, like when you live in your head, you're the victim, and you're I don't know, you just blame everything else, or even yourself. You just blame everything
Yeah.
for everything. Yeah. Ha.
So it was rough.
People have it worse,
Yeah.
but I
That's
was just feeding that sadness. You know what I mean? And
yeah. It's easy to be self-loathing though, like
so easy, so
self-pity,
easy.
all of that.
Yeah. Imposter syndrome is what it is, I found out. It's like everything that was good that was happening to me, I felt like I didn't deserve for one reason or another.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I saw a video on like Facebook about that
Oh.
one
yeah.
time. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So that's what I was going through, and I still tackle it
Up to
here
now.
and there, but at least now I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, dude, there's so many things to be grateful for.
Do you feel
Why
like
are
you're in
you
a better
feeling it?
place with your friends now?
With the
than
right
that
friends,
time?
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not about all of your friends being in a better relationship with you, but choosing which friends actually matter and which don't.
Yeah, it's the ones that saw me for who I was,
Right.
rather than what they saw on social media or what they heard from other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because people will fucking talk shit about you even if you've never done anything to them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
for sure.
And so the people who were like, no, I know Mito and who he is. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna take your word for it. I know who he is.
Right.
Those are the ones that I'm still friends with today.
So with all the hate and all the backlash that you received, some people bought into that. Is what
Yeah.
you're saying? That you knew personally, your
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
That's messed up, man.
Well, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could happen to anyone, honestly. So anyway, on a lighter note,
Haha.
around that time, Logic Club, you and Logic Club slowly started to part ways, and you signed with Stages.
I'm still Logic Club.
Yeah, but then you signed with Stages, which was more of like that was your own thing, right?
That was my management.
Yeah, and that's
Uh,
when you kind of became more independent from Logic Club. I
Yes.
feel like,
Yeah.
right?
That's when I started getting my corporate
What
stuff.
is Stages?
Stages is a management.
It's
So
a
they do
management
all
group.
the negotiations for you for a percentage.
Okay.
So they are the bridge between you and the corporation, basically. And it's for every management, it's in their initiative to pitch the artist to the company,
Mm-hmm.
or wait for the company to go to the artist and then just be the bridge.
Right.
So that's what a management does.
And you signed with them around what year is this?
2016, maybe.
What had you already released solely yours?
No,
Not yet.
no.
So this is before then.
This is before then. This is probably like Failing Forward days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was it? Like, how was your general experience with dealing with a management group?
I learned a lot
In like what?
in learning how to be more independent as an artist and not relying on certain people or a certain system that you were not completely aligned with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So to elaborate on that, for particular companies I worked with, for example, they will Stages didn't pitch me to the company. They were literally the middlemen between the company wanting to work with me.
Oh, okay.
And they were getting 30%
Right.
for that. And that was just like,
But does that help you? It does, right?
it helps because they know how to,
Ask for more.
yeah,
So you wouldn't be hitting the caps that you were hitting at the time
yes,
without them.
yes,
But at the same time, they were taking 30% of a cut from a company that wanted you in the first place.
yes.
Okay.
So that's where the gray area.
But you think it was
I-
beneficial overall?
yeah, for sure.
What was
I mean,
the hardest part about it?
I think it was from the negotiation to the actual experience. There was a misalignment.
For example,
In the negotiation, it seemed that I had a lot more input in what I wanted,
Mhm.
whether it be who my handler was, whether it be what projects I wanted to do, whether it be what the agreement was between corporation and artist. And when it actually went down, it didn't go down to my favor.
okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, they weren't getting you the gigs in the terms that you wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was in the terms that they wanted or were willing to accept.
Yeah,
for
and they
the
had other
amount of
artists.
money.
You know what I mean? Develop
That
a
was
good
probably one
repertoire.
of the biggest problems, no?
Yeah, develop a good repertoire with these corporations.
Mm-hmm.
I have another pool of
So like
artists that I
now,
can dish
you have a
out.
manager that's dedicated towards you solely.
Well, I'm working with friends now who manage me.
So it's a little easier.
It's easier, definitely. But
Better than
also,
Stages.
there are pros, there are cons. So it's
Right.
easier because it's easier to communicate.
Mhm.
It's harder because they have other things that they're doing.
So there's you don't have a manager who's dedicated to Curtismith.
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'm in talks with a couple of people, and everything happens the way it's meant to.
Yeah.
And I think these guys came about at the right time.
Okay,
So yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. It's
So,
not done yet, so we'll
with
see.
that, right? You worked with stages. You released a few projects. You've done all of these different things. You're exposed. You've received hate,
Yeah.
mainly by fans. You could call them fans, I guess. Like fans or like haters, right?
Okay.
Regular people.
We're all regular people.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go, Mr. Philosophical. Anyway, you do a feature with Esquire, right?
Yeah.
And I have it here, and I'm gonna put it up on the screen for our viewers, right?
Okay.
It was in collaboration with Axe,
Yes.
if I'm correct,
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
I was trying to research. I couldn't find the exact author, which is
Yeah. I don't know
interesting.
either.
Interesting to me.
Interesting angle.
I looked at
Interesting.
all the
Have you
Axe
gotten paid for that?
Modern
for
God, by
using
the
your
way.
place?
Jaimie Duncan.
No, he hasn't gotten paid for that.
Jaimie Duncan was part of it. You actually were in his
And his studio. Yeah.
doing the feature. Anyway,
And they said they would pay him
mm-hmm,
to use the spot.
exactly.
No, nothing on Axe, nothing on any company that worked with it. But I'm just saying, like, they
At
were
the end of
supposed
the day, somebody was supposed to get paid. They didn't.
Yeah.
Happens. They released an article of you, and it was sort of finesse. It was sort of.
It was whack, dude. It was fucking whack.
It was a setup.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
they knew what they were doing. They didn't tell you what they were doing. So
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
it here, and I'm gonna put it up on the screen for our viewers. Entitled: Rapper Curtismith speaks up for his generation. So reading it now, it's saying the title. It is entitled: Rapper Curtismith speaks up for his generation. Right?
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. I'll give the name of the article right under it by Axe on the same. Right? They did a whole promo for it on Esquire.
Yeah.
Privileged. Nico Santos wishes he was. So there's definitely something there that was messed up, right? Like basically when you read it at first glance, which is how most people will, it'll say entitled rapper Curtismith speaks up for his generation.
Yes.
Right? And that's just like a culmination of all of the hate that you've received
Yeah.
prior to that. When
Yeah.
Esquire and Axe approached you, what was it like? How did they sell it to you that they wanted to do a feature on you?
Well, the interview went completely different.
How did it go?
It was another interview. You know what I mean?
So they wanted to get in depth of you as an artist,
Yeah.
of your workflow,
Yes, yeah.
of your inspirations, just general interesting topics that they could put on a feature.
Good conversation.
Really good conversation.
Yeah, good conversation. And then formulating it to an angle that they wanted to. And that was probably through statistics online
Yeah.
and all of these things.
Yeah.
So, yun.
And it's interesting, dude, because that like you see a lot of artists and athletes talk about doing interviews, doing features where they thought it was one thing and something else happens, and like nobody can ever empathize with them because they have no idea what they're talking about. They just think, oh, you're just stupid,
yeah.
right? They just think you're just stupid if you do something like that.
Yeah.
But they really like they fucked you over.
Bit and hook. It's bit and hook.
They did. And for a company that big,
Hey, I'm not trying to, I still work with them.
it's just, in my opinion, that's some dirty boxing. What is going on here? Like,
Honestly, I can't blame Axe because Axe probably just hired people to do the marketing for them, right?
so you think whoever was in charge of writing the article or with marketing or something made the decision that it was best to call you an entitled rapper in this finesse way with a colon.
Position it that way. Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because I don't remember their names, but I remember their faces. And I remember I was like, yeah, you should help me with my PR because my PR is so bad. And then they're like, yeah, man, just give me a call, whatever. And then they make an article like that. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Two-faced. I mean, I don't know. It was just interesting. And like, how did you feel when it came out? What was the initial reaction of fans? And
I ain't trying to speak for nobody except myself.
Yeah.
That's it. So whatever hate that comes from somebody claiming to speak for the generation, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I will be like, who the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, who is this guy who thinks he can speak for me?
Right.
But I just so happen to be that guy.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know what you could have done differently.
No, man, it's all lessons. It's all lessons. And it's all, if
But
you
what's
have
the lesson there? How do you prevent that? How do other people prevent that from happening to them?
You can't. You can't. I think my problem was that I was trying to reach more and more people rather than being content with who I was reaching already.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, it was that whole.
So you're just reaching straight up.
I was just trying to reach as far and wide as possible. I'm trying to reach the States.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying to go as far as I can. Fucking run with the ball as far as I can.
I think you have a better shot in Europe.
Wow, whatever it is. I don't
Yeah.
know. But regardless of where I wanted to penetrate, what I forgot to put my focus on was who I already had, who I already have,
Right.
and being
That was
content
part
with
of that marketing thing you were telling me about, right?
Yeah.
What is that again?
Seth Godin,
Uh-huh.
he has a book called This Is Marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentions that stop trying to reach for everybody. Reach for the smallest amount of people as possible, but build a genuine relationship with them and create that market and let them be the ones to spread the word for you rather than you trying to sell yourself and go this way and this way and this way because you're trying to reach all these different, people with different beliefs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I learned and I had to go through all that shit to learn who I really was, who I really am, and what I stand for, and who I'm trying to talk to.
So you think if you didn't come from a privileged background, that if you were like made it from nothing, people wouldn't be doing this to you?
Nah.
So do you think that the reason that people do this to you is because they want to put people like you down?
No, I mean, what I'm saying is that no matter what my background would have been,
It would have happened.
they would have found a way to try to fuck me over.
You think?
It's the
So if you were like made it from nothing, because in my opinion, I really feel like if you had made it from nothing, if you were in the slums
Yeah.
and now you're living okay because of you made it in music, the narrative would have been so different where people were like glorifying you and like saying this is what people need to do for themselves, take control of their lives, this is how you make it, this is how you do it.
Yes, but the enemies would be different. The enemies would be the 1%.
Okay.
And that's exactly what happened to Looney, the rapper.
Yeah. He's in jail now.
In jail for weed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was...
Is he really made it from nothing though? He went to UANP, didn't he?
Huh? I don't know. No, I know Abra went to UNP. I don't know about
Abra,
Looney.
Sorry. My bad.
Looney looks pretty street to me.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
He talks pretty street to me.
My bad.
And what's fucked up is that they recorded it live on Facebook Live. So that's evidence right there. And with the situation in the Philippines, right? You get caught with X amount of weed with you. It's as bad as having shabu.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty fucked up because the weed is legal in America in certain states or decriminalized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Legal in some states as well.
Yeah.
You can buy it off the counter.
And so for that to be so public with that amount of repercussion for that artist who's speaking against the 1% who are trying to keep people down, that's a message right there from the 1%.
So you think that's what it was?
That for me. But I'm also that guy, right? Like
Yeah. No, I get it, but you really feel like that was an attack on him?
Yeah,
sort of.
for sure. It's an attack on everybody in culture.
So they're trying to keep them down, basically.
They're trying to keep the system from shifting to something else that they can't control.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it would have been one or the other. Pick your poison.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the end of the day, you just have to survive through it all. Whether it's the 1% you're fighting or the other side or whoever it is.
You're not going to please everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be fighting some. And it's up to you. Are you going to bite? Are you going to bite? Or are you going to accept that there's always a yin and a yang?
Mm-hmm.
That's it, I think.
That's interesting. That's cool. So after that, right, you work with Stages.
Yeah?
You and Stages parted ways.
Yes.
At what point is this?
After the endorsements
So what year are we talking?
That 2017, 2018.
2017.
Yeah,
So
2017.
about a year.
After my first like leg of endorsements, I was like, yo, I'm making the most money that I've ever made, and I'm the saddest I've ever been.
Okay.
So obviously there's something wrong here.
So you let go. You and Stages parted ways.
Yeah.
How soon after that did you find Careless?
Couple months.
Couple months.
Couple months.
So during that hiatus, you were just
Coasting. I was just coasting. I was
Okay.
still doing a couple of gigs. And then I did one gig for Adidas, and Brett was there,
Mm-hmm.
vibing to my music. And when you perform, one out of the 5 performances will be good. The rest of the time, people don't give a fuck that you're performing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're doing whatever, And so it was one of those gigs where people just didn't give a fuck about my performance. And then you have a couple of people.
I mean, they're there for the clout. Curtismith's there.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But Brett was there with a couple of other people, and he was fucking vibing. You know what I mean? So obviously you see a crowd of people who are NR, and then you see a couple of guys who are vibing. You're like, thank you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I went up to him after, and I was like, yo, man, like, thanks for vibing. We should link up sometime. And we ended up linking up. And then we did like maybe 2 songs together, and then he invited me to join Careless. And then I joined.
So at the time when he asked you to join Careless, it was you, Brett. Who else? This is Brett Jackson, right?
Yeah. He was recruiting a couple of people. So initially it was him and James
Okay.
and Nadine. And then he recruited Haisam, who's Messiah, Astro, me, and Sophia.
Okay. So then you had become a real group
Yeah.
together.
Oh, I mean, the intention was never for us to be a Brockhampton of sorts.
Of course.
It was
It's
always
more similar to like Logic Club in that sense, right? It's like a collective type thing.
Yeah.
But like, on a higher level.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, you are working with more like,
Established.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny the following of James and Nadine.
Oh yeah.
That's some real
Yeah,
numbers.
they gotta stop hanging out with you, or else they're gonna be druggies or some shit.
What the fuck? That's
I've seen stuff like that online about.
Really?
yeah, like
Yeah.
James fans are like,
Yeah,
you
no,
gotta
they're
stop hanging out
intense.
with these rappers, bro.
Yeah. Oh, they don't
But
even know.
that's a testament to how big he is,
Exactly.
and he's more of the face of Careless, you would say, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
He is the face of Careless.
Yeah, right.
Like straight up.
It's pretty cool. So how is it working with him,
He's cool. I've never worked with him really.
like in terms of music?
We don't have a song together
Yeah.
yet.
Do you guys plan on making some music together?
Hopefully, it's always
But you
wherever the
perform
wind takes
together
us.
and you show up together, and like
Yeah.
that's the main thing about it.
Yeah. We have meetings together. I hang out in his place. Like, as a friend, he's really cool.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he reached the level that he did and is still true to himself. And that's what I respect.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're that way?
Yeah, for sure. Although I feel like the way I see it, if I went to his level and surrounded myself with the people that he was with when he was like super hype, mainstream, all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I would have gotten lost in the sauce way
Right,
quicker.
right.
You know what I mean?
So what do you think the key is to be able to do that? Do you see anything?
Well, I was reading this book called Dare to Lead, and it was talking about, it had a lot to do with my situation because it talks about how there are a lot of opinions and there are people like me who care too much about all of these opinions. And then when that happens, you close yourself off and don't care about any opinion, right? And you're just like, fuck everybody, da, 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 da. And then that's when you live in your own head. But then the middle ground that's the sweet spot, apparently, where you have the right people to give you their opinions, and it's just maybe like freaking like 3 to 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as they're not sucking your dick, they're real with you, and you can tell them anything, you can be as transparent as possible, and them giving you honest feedback, then that's all you need.
Yeah.
Fuck the noise.
Right.
But also don't be alone. Just stay true to your tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're with Careless now, right?
Yeah.
And how has it been recently?
Interesting. Very interesting.
You guys are doing the Ferg.
We're doing Ferg, yeah.
You did ASAP Rocky. I was there.
We did ASAP Rocky.
That's-
Yeah, you
that's
were
fun.
there.
Anyway.
You fucked.
Yeah. Right. So
Yeah.
you released Dining Table
Yes.
recently. When
Mhm.
was that?
I don't know. A couple months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's with Careless.
Mhm.
And talk to the people about Dining Table a little bit.
Dining Table was me closing my book with my sadness.
So
And-
you're not sad anymore, or you're better.
I'm better for sure.
I mean, everyone's sad, right?
Everyone has it's whether or not you want to feed it.
Yeah.
I decided to stop feeding it after Dining Table.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you really felt like you released some energy with Dining Table. Can you tell people the concept of Dining Table? Because I remember you releasing a statement about exactly what.
Yeah. Dining Table
intentions
was basically me imagining myself in a position where I could sit down with my parents one more time and tell them all the shit that I've been going through.
Okay, and that's specific to you though. What about your parents?
My dad passed away when I was 15 or 16. I don't even remember anymore. And my mom left when I was 16 or 17
Mm-hmm.
for London.
Yeah.
And they were divorced since I was 3.
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean, that's how hard.
I
that's
can
a hard
count with
thing
my
to have
hands
to deal with as a person.
Yeah,
As a kid.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, it was. And I can count with my hands how many times we had dinner, the 3 of us.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Dining Table was that. Dining Table was,
Do you feel like that situation helped you become who you are now?
yeah, man, for sure. That's what enabled me to spend Christmases with a bunch of different families like yours.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Who kid can go
And do that.
spend Christmas and New Year's with
Whoever.
other
Yeah,
families?
Yeah.
But that's just what
Do you
that's
feel like
just
you're stronger because of it, or smarter, or more street smart, or anything like that?
I think it's a culmination of a lot of things. I think that taught me way more than what school could have ever taught me.
Yeah.
Especially because I was an only child and I didn't know what a family was really.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing families deal with their own shit
Yeah.
was like, yo, okay, no family is perfect. You can be as rich as you can be, but there will still be problems.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the things that will keep you together? If it's not the money, if it's not this, if it's not that, if you're not always happy.
Right.
And it's really just, it's one thing or not. It's the love, dude.
Yeah.
It's the love.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, just kind of to wrap this up,
Okay.
right? Because we
Yeah.
talked a lot about your life. We've gone through Ideal up until Dining Table,
Yeah.
Careless Stages, all that.
Yeah.
What's next for Curtismith? Are you going to be a rapper forever? Do you have things in the works coming up?
Yeah. The angle or the way I want my life to go is I use Jay-Z as a peg. So I will, whether there is nobody in the world who listens to me or there are like a million people who listen to me, I will always be making music.
Okay.
So music will never leave me.
Right.
But do I want my livelihood to be based on people's perception of me, on whether they like me or not? No.
Okay.
Do I love other things? Yes, I love business, man,
Mhm.
but not like fucking greedy business,
Yeah.
like social entrepreneurship. I love employing people and helping them improve their lives.
Yeah.
Having the same value system
Mhm.
and reaching the same goal or striving towards the same goal. So that's where I'm at now. We spoke about it a while ago. I just got accepted into a little Harvard course.
Hey.
Yay! Woo.
Yeah.
And I want, I also have a business that I have with 2 partners,
Yeah.
and there are
This
things.
is Sabong.
Sabong.
Shout out to
is-
Sabong.
Yeah. There are things that I still have to improve within myself.
Mm-hmm.
That I want to improve within myself.
Yeah.
Whether it be managerial, whether it be simply presence, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are the things that I have to develop within myself so that I can be a better version of who I see myself being.
Mm-hmm.
And being a better asset towards asset with a group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if you had one piece of advice for all the kids out there who want to be like Curtismith, because even my cousins, I know they look up to you.
That's great.
They love your music. Remember they
Yeah,
actually
they
hit you up.
yeah.
So like all those kids who want to break into the music scene, what's your one piece of advice to them?
Don't do it for the wrong reasons.
Do it because you love the music.
Do it because you love whatever it is you want to do.
Okay.
But also be real about it. Like,
I feel that.
you know what I mean?
I feel that.
Don't
I feel
don't be delusional.
Yeah.
Oh, this is my dream, but you actually suck at
Right.
it, right?
Right.
So just be real, but do what you love and learn. Never be closed-minded. Always, always check yourself. Pull yourself out of your head and your ego, and I'm still doing it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not like an expert at it, but
that's
constantly check yourself.
that's the mindset.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you? What's your
My
piece of
advice?
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Okay. So to end this, to wrap this up completely, let's do a quick rapid fire.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
It's an Instagram you should follow.
On Instagram, I should follow?
Yeah, anybody should follow.
I don't know. Nat Geo.
Curtismith. Instagram we should unfollow.
Thoughts.
Okay.
Any thought.
Okay. Last song you listen to?
Bossy Bop.
Okay. Favorite artist right now?
What's his name? The guy who made Bossy Bop. Not
Stormy?
Stormzy.
Stormzy. Local artists we should listen to?
Curtismith.
Artists we should stop listening to?
Curtismith.
You're so full of it. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie?
Yeah. Bro, this is rapid fire. Come on.
Sorry,
speed it
I
up.
don't know.
Okay, TV show you're watching right now.
The last one I watched was Money Heist.
Oh, okay, I heard. That was good.
Shokugeki though I love.
Okay, book you're reading right now.
This is marketing.
Checks or stripes?
Checks.
Okay, checks over. Okay. What are you insecure about?
Myself. Everything about myself.
What do you do to relieve stress?
Forget about myself.
Mac or PC?
Mac.
You have an idol right now? No?
No.
Favorite cuisine?
Jesus, my idol.
Wow.
Favorite cuisine, Japanese.
Okay, I fuck with that.
Yeah.
Go-to drink?
Beer.
Yeah, same. Best part of your job?
Freedom.
Worst part of your job?
Attention.
Okay. Best gig you did ever?
All
There
of
must
them
be
are-
one.
All of
There
them are
must be
special.
one. No? Worst gig you did? Don't lie. There's that one.
New Year's.
New Year's, what year?
2017.
Where?
Mouse Den.
Okay, yeah, that sounds bad. No
One
offense.
person.
Ooh.
One person in the crowd. I left Noche Buena, or not Noche Buena, Countdown,
Yeah.
to get there.
For
And
one guy.
for one chick. But thank God to
One
that chick.
chick,
Shout out to that chick. But like
okay.
she was, I don't know.
She was alone?
She was alone. I should have talked to her. I didn't speak to her. I was in my head.
She was alone.
Yeah.
The fuck she doing there alone watching Curtis? Anyway.
Now that I think about
Forget
it, I
it.
should have asked her.
Genre you would be doing if you weren't doing rap?
Oh, house. Deep house.
House?
Deep house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's cool.
Or
That's cool.
funk.
Funk? Okay, yeah. That sounds more like, come on, you wouldn't be doing house.
I really want to do deep house. Until now, I really want to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what? Produce or sing?
Produce maybe. Or like
Okay.
just DJ.
Okay. Okay, cool. So that was it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mito.
That's
Yo,
what you get.
Thank you for doing this. You know, shout outs to our viewers. Listen to the next one. We got more shit coming for you guys. Shout outs to Curtismith. Shout outs to Modern God. Thank you for dealing with the audio. PJ for dealing with the video. Thank you. All right, we good.